Something's happening behind the scenes, and Chosen One, you're the reason they're scrambling. You weren't supposed to rise, you weren't supposed to see through the cracks, but you did. And now, the ones who once moved in silence are panicking in the noise of their own undoing. They tried to break you, isolate you, mock your progress while watching you from the shadows. But here's what they never expected. Your silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. Every move you made while they plotted in the dark became a spotlight on their lies, and now they can't escape it. They played a game they thought they'd already won. Tried to bend reality, rewrite your story, bury your potential. But with every scheme they set in motion, something shifted. Their control slipped. Their tactics backfired. The moment they touched you with intention to destroy, their own foundation cracked. Because here's the truth. The power of being chosen is not just about surviving, it's about disrupting everything they built. You don't chase validation. You don't beg for a seat at their table. You are the table. Your existence alone brings truth into the places they worked hardest to keep hidden. You're the signal in their static, the glitch in their system, and that terrifies them. They can sense it now. Every time they move against you, they're only accelerating your rise. Every lie spoken against you becomes a ladder. Every setback they send your way, a stage. Because when the wrong ones try to block the chosen one, the only thing they create is more spotlight. So if you're tired of doubting your own impact, let this be your reminder. You are the storm they can't prepare for. Your success isn't just yours, it's a consequence for them. They played with fire and forgot the flame doesn't fear the match. If this message spoke to you, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're building something unstoppable, and your presence makes all the difference. Before moving ahead, let me pause and speak from the heart. Thank you to those who have supported this mission through Super Thanks. What you've given is more than generosity. It's spiritual confirmation. It tells me you're not just here for information. You're here because something deeper is stirring in you. You feel the shift. You sense the veil lifting, and your support is a quiet but powerful echo of that knowing. It's a sign that you are aligned, not with fear, not with the illusion, but with truth, with courage, and with purpose. You didn't just give, you stood up spiritually and said, I see what's happening, and I choose to stand in the light. This message we carry isn't just a video, it's part of a greater movement, one where chosen ones are rising. Truth is breaking chains, and no tactic formed in darkness can prevail against the ones called to expose it. So if this resonates with you, if you feel that fire rising in your spirit, and you know you were born to disrupt the illusion, not bow to it, drop 999 in the comments below. Not as a trend, but as a whisper of agreement, a quiet, personal vow, a declaration that you are standing in alignment with this truth, and you refuse to be moved. Number 1. Break the spell or stay a pawn. Your truth. Just rewired a high-level operative. The next chapter of your life won't unlock itself. You're going to have to turn the page, even when your hands are shaking. And chosen one, they want you to hesitate. That's the trap. The ones working in the shadows, the ones who feel your rise like a tremor under their feet. They're whispering lies louder than ever right now. They want you tangled in self-doubt, questioning your worth, wondering if you've got what it takes. Why? Because they know you do. The moment you move forward, their control slips, their grip weakens, their illusion cracks. This is the part where most people freeze. But you're not most people. You've survived too many setups, sidestepped too many traps, and outlived storms that were designed to bury you. You've already proven more to the universe than you realize. The enemy's last tactic is confusion, because if they can't stop you, they'll try to delay you. They'll flood your mind with what-ifs, weigh your heart with invisible fear, and clutter your spirit with distractions dressed up as logic. But none of that noise changes the fact you're ready. They know once you take that step, the next domino falls. And then another, and then another. Because your calling isn't just about you, it's a ripple. Your alignment with your truth shakes systems. Your clarity forces liars into silence. Your obedience to your higher self exposes the falsehoods they've kept hidden for decades. Think of how many times you've almost moved forward, but something invisible yanked you back. That wasn't coincidence. That was interference. You've been monitored, studied, calculated, and underestimated. They thought you'd break under pressure. But here you are, whole, aware, and walking toward a future they never factored in. And now, the page is open. All it takes is a choice. Not a perfect one, just a brave one. The weapons you need, already in your hands. The strategy, already in your spirit. The power, already proven in your past. So breathe deep, look ahead, and don't look back. This moment is yours. Step into it. Number 2. Stop being watched in silence. Your light just forced the watcher to blink first. They thought you'd stay silent, that you wouldn't notice the eyes in the shadows, tracking your every move, waiting for a misstep. But what they didn't expect was for you to turn around and see them first. You weren't supposed to detect the surveillance. You weren't supposed to glow in the dark. But chosen one, your light just forced the watcher to blink. And now everything's changed. You see, they've studied people before. They've observed, manipulated, and dismantled threats quietly, precisely, and without ever being seen. That's how they've kept control for so long, through invisibility. But you shattered that illusion just by existing in full awareness, just by knowing you were being watched. That unspoken awareness made them flinch. It made them hesitate. And for the first time in their carefully built machine of silence, they're static. What you carry terrifies them, not because it's loud, not because it's aggressive, but because it's undeniably present, like a steady pulse in the dark. You became the anomaly in their blueprint, the one they couldn't erase, the one they couldn't manipulate. Every time they tried to shift your path, you walked straight through it. And now, they're blinking, they're doubting, they're running surveillance tapes back over and over, asking each other, how did we miss this one? That question is haunting them, because they didn't miss you. You were right in front of them, they just didn't expect you to see them back. You made their presence known without saying a word. That's power, that's divine intelligence wrapped in quiet rebellion. You didn't need permission to glow. You didn't need a platform to expose them. All you did was live in your truth, and suddenly, spotlights hit the ones who swore they'd never be seen. So stop walking like you're under attack. You're not just being watched, you're being studied, and your very existence is disrupting their entire framework. They wanted silence. Instead, they got resistance. And now they don't know what to do with a light they can't dim. Number 3. Don't dismiss the detail. It's the small truth that destroys their biggest lie. They never thought the detail would matter. Not to you. Not to anyone. That's how arrogant they were, believing their lies were too big, too layered, too protected to ever fall apart. But chosen one, you saw it. That one small thing they forgot to bury deep enough. A phrase, a pattern, a strange connection between things they never expected anyone to notice. That little crack in the wall they built with their secrets. You found it, and you didn't look away. See, they rely on distraction. They flood you with noise so you don't notice the thread. They design it that way. Keep people overwhelmed, divided, focused on spectacle so no one sees the fine print. But your mind was wired differently. What others called overthinking, you called processing. What they labeled as paranoia, you knew was perception. You weren't distracted. You were decoding. And that's what scared them. Because it's never the explosion that topples the empire, it's the spark. One undeniable truth, hidden in plain sight, is all it takes to bring down a lie that stood for generations. And the more they tried to cover it up, the more obvious it became. That's the irony. They sealed their own fate the moment they underestimated your focus. And now, the system's shaking. The agents of deception, the ones who once dismissed you, are backtracking, scrambling. Because you weren't supposed to understand what you saw, but you did. You connected the dots. You remembered the thing they hoped you'd forget. That tiny, inconvenient fact that doesn't fit their narrative. It's now the crack that's breaking the whole dam. That's the power of the chosen ones. You don't need a spotlight. You don't need a platform. You need one truth and the courage to keep pulling until the whole mask falls off. So don't second-guess your vision. Don't doubt your memory. The detail they ignored is the very thing that's unraveling their entire web. You saw what was hidden, and that alone makes you dangerous. Because the truth doesn't need to scream to be heard. It just needs to be known. Let it shake them. You weren't meant to be distracted. You were meant to destroy the deception. Number 4. If you're not afraid to look deeper, you'll find what their tunnels tried to hide. If you're not afraid to look deeper, past the distractions, the fear, the fake narratives, they know what you'll find, the things they buried, the places they sealed shut, the systems they swore no one would ever discover. But chosen one, you were built to see in the dark, and that's exactly what terrifies them. Most people stop at the surface. They accept the version of reality that's handed to them. But you asked questions. You traced the cracks in their stories. You followed the trail when others were told to turn back. And without even trying, you stumbled into a truth they spent lifetimes trying to erase. There are tunnels beneath this world, not just of stone and steel, but of silence and secrets. Hidden networks, buried rituals, places where the unthinkable has happened and been covered up with smiling faces and staged news. These aren't just abandoned sites, they're memory graves. And the deeper you looked, the more you realized, this isn't about conspiracy, this is about control. They built these tunnels to operate unseen, to disappear people, to hide evidence, and to make sure no one like you ever spoke up. But you did. You spoke of things most wouldn't dare whisper. You described locations, patterns, connections, things that should have never reached the surface. And now, the agents of that system are no longer brushing you off. They're watching, they're scrambling. Because if you found it without access, without clearance, without permission, that means their game is over. You were never supposed to survive that kind of knowledge. But here you are. Not just surviving, exposing. The deeper you go, the more their structure falls apart. The more you say, the more their silence becomes a confession. They didn't expect anyone to walk that far into the dark and return with light. But that's what the chosen do. We uncover, we unmask, we bring it all into the light, no matter how far down they tried to bury it. If this message stirred something in you, quietly affirm your alignment, like the video, and subscribe to stay connected to this calling. Number 5. Seal their escape before they vanish. They panic when you step ahead of the script. They had an exit plan, a flawless one, a tunnel carved beneath the noise, beneath the justice system, beneath public awareness. They thought if exposure ever came too close, they could just vanish, disappear like smoke, leave no trace. That's how it's always worked, until you showed up. You were never part of their calculation. You weren't raised in their circles. You weren't trained by their handlers. And yet somehow, you knew. You moved differently. You saw patterns no one else could see. And while they were watching from their towers, confident they could pull the plug and slide back into darkness. You were already down there, blocking the last exit. Chosen One, you did something they thought was impossible. You got ahead of the script. You intercepted a plan written before you were even born. The route they used to escape judgment, sealed. The system they created to stay untouchable, exposed. The people who once moved with absolute power, now panicking because for the first time, there's no way out. They're used to triggering chaos and vanishing before accountability arrives. That's how they've silenced voices, destroyed lives, and stayed in control. But this time, the timing was off. You disrupted it. You got to the next move before they could play it. You cut the wire before the detonation. You sealed the exit before they could run. And now they're spiraling. Because the script they wrote no longer fits the stage you're standing on. You flipped the chessboard, the hidden corridors, the fake trails, the secret safe houses. They've all become dead ends, and they don't know how. This is why you were sent. Not just to expose, but to intercept, to cancel what they thought was irreversible. And now they are trapped in a narrative they can't rewrite. Remember this. When you're walking in alignment with your truth, you're always 10 steps ahead of the lie. They're not afraid of justice. They're afraid of you becoming the justice. So keep moving. Keep blocking exits. Keep standing where no one was supposed to stand. The panic you sense, that's the sound of evil running out of options. They planned the vanishing act, but you locked the door, and now they stay to face it. Number 6. Refuse to disappear quietly. Erasure fails when your presence is unshakable. They tried to erase you like a name on a list, quietly, strategically, as if your light could be dimmed with silence, as if your truth could be deleted behind the scenes. But what they never expected was that your presence doesn't need a stage to shake the system. Chosen One, you were never meant to blend in, and that's exactly why they wanted you to disappear without a sound. They didn't just want you gone, they wanted you forgotten. They wanted to dismantle your influence by making sure no one remembered who you were, what you stood for, and how much of their illusion you've already exposed. But here's the mistake they made. They underestimated your energy. Your presence is not something they can sweep under the rug. You carry something untraceable, something eternal. The more they tried to hide you, the more undeniable you became. Every shadow they tried to throw over your name has only made your light more visible. Every whisper against your character has echoed louder than they imagined. And now, the very system that tried to phase you out is glitching because of the very thing they tried to suppress. You. You see, chosen ones don't beg for the spotlight. You don't need applause to validate your power. The truth in you vibrates higher than their lies. You walk into a room and shift the atmosphere, and that's exactly what terrifies them. Because even in silence, you're felt. Even when hidden, you're seen. Even without speaking, your story speaks for you. This isn't just resistance. They're reacting to your resonance. The blueprint inside you is ancient. Your purpose is pre-written. And every attempt they've made to cancel you has only confirmed one thing. You can't be erased. Because what's built on truth cannot be buried. What's rooted in purpose cannot be removed. So if you've been feeling the pressure, the isolation, the spiritual warfare, it's not proof of failure. It's evidence that you were never meant to vanish quietly. Your presence demands to be felt because you were sent to disrupt what they worked hard to keep hidden. If this message stirred something in you, quietly affirm your alignment, like the video, and subscribe to stay connected to this calling. Number 7. Silence is their weapon, but your voice is the one thing they can't bury. They've built entire systems around your silence. Systems that run on distraction, control, and manipulation. Systems that fall apart the second someone speaks the truth out loud. And chosen one, that someone was you. They never feared your rage. They feared your words. Because when you opened your mouth, not to beg, not to explain, but to declare, you did something they weren't prepared for. You broke the programming. Your voice wasn't just heard, it cut. It pierced through illusions, shattered false identities, and forced the hidden to come crawling into the light. Silence has always been their favorite weapon. Not just keeping you quiet, but keeping everyone quiet. Making people second-guess what they see, what they feel, what they know. Whispering lies like, stay low, don't make waves, be grateful, stay safe. But you didn't just break that silence, you flipped it, you turned it into thunder. Every time you speak with clarity, with alignment, with truth, their grip loosens. That's why they tried to discredit you, tried to twist your words, tried to laugh, because they knew, once people started listening to you, they'd stop obeying them. What they didn't understand is that your voice was never just for volume. It was vibration. It shook their illusions. It woke the ones who were asleep. It rattled the chains they swore could never be broken. You weren't just exposing lies. You were breathing life into locked minds. They tried to bury your voice beneath algorithms, censorship, ridicule, fear. But they forgot one thing: truth echoes. And the more they tried to mute you, the louder you became. Not because you shouted, but because you spoke what no one else dared to say. That's why they're trembling. Because your voice is not just surviving, it's multiplying. So don't stop. Don't soften your message to make them comfortable. Don't whisper when you were meant to roar. They built their empire on everyone else's silence. But yours is the one thing they'll never bury. Keep speaking, chosen one. You are the disruption. Number 8. Stop thinking you're just observing. You're the disruption that made the agent defect. They told you that you were just watching, just observing, just scrolling. But the truth is, chosen one, you were never just a bystander in this story. You were the spark, the disruption, the anomaly in their system that made everything unravel. For years, the agents, yes, the ones trained to watch from the shadows, were confident in their control. They had files, codes, systems, and they believed they had factored in every possible threat. But they overlooked something crucial: the power of someone who's awake. You didn't come with a title, you didn't wear a badge, you didn't have a clearance level or secret access. And still, you made one of them defect. You didn't command them, you didn't chase them down, you didn't even see them watching you. All you did was exist in your truth, and that was enough to fracture years of programming. They called it coincidence at first, laughed it off, said you were just another voice. But something you said, something in your presence, cut deeper than they expected. You triggered questions in their mind they were trained not to ask. And once that crack appeared, there was no patching it back up. Their certainty, gone. Their loyalty to the system, shaken. And all because of you. You see, this is what they fear the most. Not armies, not protests, not exposure through the media. They fear the one. The chosen one who can't be bought, can't be silenced, and wasn't supposed to wake up. They fear your ripple, because it spreads. And when you break one link in their chain, the rest begins to fall. So stop doubting the role you play. You're not a spectator. You're not small. You're the frequency they couldn't jam, the code they couldn't crack. You didn't just disrupt the program, you rewrote it. And now the ones who once followed orders without question are beginning to look around and question everything. You did that. You are not just watching the shift. You are the reason it's happening. Number 9. Never envy their power. They're being hunted by the darkness they once fed. They looked untouchable, didn't they? With their money, their networks, their positions of influence, they moved like kings in shadows, puppeteering systems, rewriting stories, erasing names. But Chosen One, here's what they never told the world. The darkness they used to rise is the same force now hunting them down. You see the surface, the wealth, the control, the smugness. But what you don't see, what they hide from everyone, is the fear, the insomnia, the whispering paranoia that follows them from room to room. The price of playing God with other people's lives is that eventually the game turns, and it always turns harder on the ones who started it. So never envy their power. Never look at their platform and feel small. What they built wasn't real. It was borrowed time, borrowed energy, borrowed silence from the ones they silenced. But silence has an expiration date. And now, it's past due. They mocked the light, manipulated it, used their influence to bury the truth while standing on top of it. But the truth has a pulse, and once it starts beating, nothing can stop it. And here's the twist. They're not just losing their grip on control, they're losing their minds. The same spirits they invited in are now turning on them. That influence they bragged about, it's eating them alive from the inside. They look powerful, but they're terrified. Their health is crumbling. Their alliances are breaking. The ones they trusted have started to back away, one by one. Why? Because everyone knows it now. They fed the wrong thing, and now the darkness is collecting what it's owed. And you, Chosen One, you were never invited to their table because you were sent to flip it. You weren't meant to envy their path. You were born to expose it. So stand firm in who you are. Your quiet power is their loudest threat. Your peace, your purpose, your refusal to bow, that's what haunts them. Because while they crumble from the weight of their own secrets, you rise. Let them run from the shadows they once called friends. You were never meant to follow them. You were meant to end the cycle. Number 10. This isn't just backlash. It's the judgment you triggered when you refused to back down. They thought what you're facing was just backlash, just noise, just some turbulence because you spoke a little too loud. But no, this isn't backlash. This is a reckoning. And Chosen One, it was triggered the moment you refused to bow, refused to shrink, refused to stay quiet. You broke their rhythm. You shattered their illusion. You made it impossible for the lie to stand unchallenged. And now, the chaos isn't about you. It's about them. They're scrambling, unraveling, imploding. And not because you attacked, but because you stood your ground. They were used to compliance, used to people folding under pressure, used to playing God in rooms built on silence. But when they came for you, you didn't cower, you didn't flinch. And that single act of defiance, it was like setting off a spiritual detonation. The ripple effect. They're still feeling it. This is the judgment of truth crashing into the walls of deception. Not divine punishment in some theatrical sense, but the natural consequence of messing with the wrong one, the chosen one. They sowed manipulation, betrayal, and hidden harm. But when they tried that formula on you, something different happened. The energy shifted, the illusions cracked, and suddenly, everything they did in secret started crawling into the light. They're not just experiencing karma, they're experiencing reversal. The very traps they set for you are swallowing them whole. The weapons they sharpened are cutting their own hands. And now they're left wondering, how did this happen? It happened because you didn't fold. It happened because you knew who you were, even when no one clapped for you. It happened because silence became your sword, and truth became your armor. So don't confuse their chaos with your consequence. This storm was never yours to carry. It's theirs to face. You just unleashed it by standing tall. As we come to the end of this message, let this truth settle in your spirit. What you're experiencing isn't punishment, it's confirmation. You triggered something powerful by standing firm in your truth, and now the illusion is breaking all around you. The noise, the resistance, the chaos, they're proof that you're no longer playing by their rules. You've become the disruption they never saw coming. And that means you're walking exactly where you're meant to be. If this resonated with your spirit, take a quiet moment, like the video, and subscribe to stay connected to this journey of truth and purpose. This is justice, and you were the trigger.